Okay, we're opening up the meeting on July 13th, Parks and Rec. Audience of citizens. Anyone online?
Nope.
Okay. Approval of minutes, June 8th.
I make motion, we accept the minutes of June 8th.
Second, any discussion, comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, consent agenda, Berlin Little League for their banners. Can I take a motion?
Make a motion to accept. Item A. I'll second it.
Any discussion, questions? Jen, any comments? All good? So Lucas, we have, all the groups will ask us to approve their banners. We have a banner policy. That's what they're asking, so.
You're proving the content or the fact they're putting up there?
Both.
Oh, yeah,
They have to follow, if you look at their piece of paper. Berlin Little League requested banners in the agenda package, it basically, they took that right out of the banner policy. Copy and pasted what they had to provide and then just wrote what they needed to provide. Mostly just them and the high school boosters. So nobody else.
You ever
really.
notice any other signs or banners?
Bring them down.
Like Berlin youth football
Well,
plays a tournament on Sundays, but they're same day. They take them down at the end of the day. So in the policy, they don't need to get permission because it's all same day.
I take pictures. Jen.
yeah,
And then I usually send Steve. to take
somebody
them
does
down.
the best job. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of consent agenda item A? Aye. Okay, passes. Okay, Parks and Rec.
Nothing has changed since I compiled my monthly report. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Fire away.
How the attendance at the pool?
Yeah.
Seem
Well, June, the weather was awful, so it was not very good, but I mean, it's okay. It depends on the weather. Like today, I thought it was pretty decent. There were like 20 people. I had to go to the field trip in Plainville. I came back and I guess it had thundered, so it cleared out. So there were like 60. So, I mean, it's. They're definitely, if there's any overflow from East Berlin people, it's not impacted us where have numbers that are uncomfortable to try to staff, but I mean, I think they're just pretty much average.
Any other complaints about the more than the pool being shut down?
Well, they're constantly people
Oh, are they
commenting, yeah. They don't
like
really
calling in?
understand or coming in, talking, being at the pool, making comments, so just trying to answer questions.
I think a lot of people are asking the question because they're hearing all the rumors of why it closed, and once we, like, the ones I've dealt with in the office, once I explain the reasoning, they're not rude, they're not, angry, I mean, a little
Yeah.
upset maybe, but.
Yeah.
Understanding.
I had two people at ShopRite in Cromwell. One person stopped me and she actually thanked us, the commission, for trying to keep it open. She said, and then this other woman was coming the other way and she goes, "Oh, I saw you have the pool closed." And so we had a discussion and I talked about the reasons. And they just said, so bad, so sad. And then this other woman said, "That's why we need an indoor pool." Yeah. That's all I've heard. I really haven't seen many posting that anymore on Facebook or anything like that.
There was one about pool passes.
Oh, yeah, I saw
Berlin
it.
was.
Yeah, it's like, they ask these questions. I wish they would just, go on Parks and Rec site or the website.
One of the top contributors took a picture of the website.
Yes.
They go here, right?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
It's like social media allows people to just ask questions.
It's just easier to do it that way, I guess.
We did, that caregiver pass that we started because of the situation last year, we've only given out 2 this year, so, but it is available, so we did have 2 people that are taking advantage of it, or 1 family, so. I had a couple calls on it, but that's the only person that came in. And camps, but Great. Yeah, every week's bill, can't beat that.
Where's that help?
Okay,
Pistol Creek, yeah. Feel free to, at any point, just reach out if you have questions about anything.
I walked that one. $2.
I'll make
Look,
sure.
look at that.
okay. Any other questions, Debbie? All right, Parks and Grounds.
Pretty much everything's listed in the report of what we've accomplished throughout the month of May. Any questions on that, let me know. And then we finally installed the bench out at Pistol Creek. The plaque went on the other day.
Wow.
JD Chan is ecstatic. It really looks nice out there. It's getting quite a bit of use.
Nice. Anything? No, okay,
Well, what are they, may not be you, but what are they doing in? So there's something going on there, they got dirt and stuff.
So there's a bunch of things going on. First, they're changing out the blocks that hold down the solar panels because they have failed. And they're also starting the fire alarm system in conjunction with the new heating and air conditioning system. So the blocks and the trash and everything that's outside right now, I think there's some, and they're also emptying out the bottom of the storage unit below, where I think youth soccer stuff
Yeah,
is,
yeah, no, we used to be.
used to be there. So yeah, it's all different renovations. 3 different projects.
I
going
saw
on.
side of it, and
Yeah, the dirt, I think, is from in the back where they poured it all out for the chill. To run the air conditioning like heat.
thanks.
okay. Activity grant.
So this is something that Jim Mahoney basically asked me to add to the agenda. He sent you guys a letter, that's in the agenda package. Hopefully you've all read it. It's something you guys can decide on a commission. His deadline is next week, so if you do decide to do a letter, it has to be emailed to me pretty quickly. But he said it's totally up to you. It's okay if you don't want to support it, or if you don't want to write the letter, that's okay. It's not supportive, it's just, he's looking for more support, but understanding that sidewalks don't necessarily fall under parks, it's totally up to you guys.
Why would we not want to support it?
I have no idea, just. I don't think he meant not support, I think he meant like, you don't have to write the letter if you don't.
But it'll help him get the money if we say.
I don't know what the odds are of him getting it. I know nothing about this grant.
Just
or if
add a
it's-
little more.
I don't know if
depth
it's
to
a
it.
sure thing or if it's a good chance. I have no idea. He just asked me to send you guys this.
Yeah, I mean, it.
He's the economic
connecting the
developer.
sidewalks makes sense just for a lot of reasons,
Yeah,
right?
just from that.
So.
He does more of like a passive recreation, getting the grants, and that end of it. Where Chris Edge does more the hands-on business related stuff.
Jim works part-time for the town remotely. Handles a lot of grants for the town.
He gives us a ton of money.
Just from that, we support this. Support this. Yeah.
So I think the consensus is that we're gonna support it, right? Okay. So Jen, you wanna let him know and then,
Just when you send me the letter, I'll email it to him.
okay,
I'll
he
double-
said he's gonna do a draft letter, so just have him send the draft letter.
He's gonna do a draft letter?
He says, I'd be, let's see.
Oh, yes, I can
provide
provide a draft letter.
So
Okay,
that works, that's,
I'll do that.
okay. Okay, vandalism?
Yes. My report was so short, I'm gonna take up so much time with this. So there's been an uptick of vandalism here and there. Somebody tried blowing up the porta potty at Zip Deli. Looks like they threw a firecracker in there. It didn't do much damage, but it did some. But the biggest area we're having right now with vandalism, and it's I don't even know how to describe it. I think Debbie gets 3 or 4 phone calls a week with the amount of glass that is being smashed at the high school. We were there again today, street sweeping, and the street sweepers are pretty much every other day sweeping up glass. We were there 2 weeks ago picking up trash, and I think that was right after the Facebook post. And it took 6 of our guys an hour to pick up all of the trash. And if you get a chance to drive through there, just look at it. Somebody's pretty much there, like Jen said, every day sweeping glass out of either the roadway, the parking lot, or now the basketball and tennis courts. Somebody else was climbing and jumping on the basketball courts, did some structural damage to the fence. So New Britain fence will be in over the next couple of weeks to try to reattach the poles where they were climbing up and in and jumping on them, which bent them and broke them. So the high school parking lot area has turned into nothing but a complete pig pen, disaster, and mess. And I strongly encourage every once in a while, just drive through there and see how disgusting it is. It's disgusting. One idea that I have that I talked to the director of security is, I'll bounce it off to you guys, and I think we're gonna try to meet with the administration at Berlin High School at the beginning part of September. Is I think we'd like to put a gate on the entrance into the student parking lot, which would prevent anybody from having access from certain times. Yeah. So the way we're thinking of doing it is either the custodians or the ground staff on the way to work every morning would unlock it. So it'd be unlocked right around 5 o'clock prior to any students or teachers coming in. Then at night, the last custodian would go out right around, I don't know, 9 o'clock, he would lock it. In conjunction with that, we would like to roll back the time we turn the lights off from 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So everything is in conjunction. If gates get locked at 9, you don't belong there. The lights go off at 9 and see if that digresses what's going on in that market.
Put a gate, close everything, and sign up.
You'd have to drive out or in over sidewalks and buy a camera. We think there's enough cameras that could possibly pick somebody up doing it.
And the
Sunset-
majority of the people hanging out at night are all in cars.
All
It's not, they're all like walking from the neighborhood. They're all
Yeah.
in cars and hanging out, playing music, drinking.
Nice little parking lot.
So there's cameras going in,
There's cameras along the whole entire building on A, B, C,
so
and
if
D
you
side.
drive by, you go in that entrance.
Yep.
You
No,
wouldn't
you-
have a gate, right? The first
No.
entrance, no
You'd be
gate.
able to park in the teacher's parking
Yeah.
lot, access the library, or whatever it would be. The question comes in, what would we do on weekends?
Yeah.
On weekends, whatever group is going to be there, say it's a youth group, would start off at Scalise or at Piscataglia or Soccer West, or one of Debbie's camps, they would unlock the gate, and then it would lock, we would lock it at the conclusion of their event. Yes, it would cause more.
Someone from the group? was on
Somebody from the group, same way it's done at all of the fields throughout town. Yes, that is a possibility. We are afraid that if we do move them from there, they could end up at Sage Park. They could end up at Timberland. They could end up at McGee. We have to do something before somebody gets hurt.
So we got the track too, to protect. I mean,
The track and all that's already secured. We're not worried about it, that aspect. We're just more worried about,
yeah, you have
I
to
would-
walk out to the track to destroy it. Yeah.
How soon can you start doing that?
I don't think we can do anything till after September, once the mental and never back. You know, see if we can get all the unions on board that they're okay with somebody going in there locking. Yeah. I mean, the lights thing, we can do it anytime. That's not a big deal.
So I would just stay turning the lights off at 9. Excuse me, generator lights. Move it up. Because anybody who's there, lights are out, drive.
So like 8:30.
Or 8:40.
Okay.
So what are they staying on until now?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
So
That's
we
what the
can't
policy
just removing anybody who does work, so.
I would imagine the janitor would call the police department, have the police department come down and handle that. We don't want anybody that's getting involved in that kind of application.
So the other question is, what about the police department? And I know that we have issues with that, with liability and availability. Can they make more passes? That's possible. The bill is no. Huh? The bill is no.
Just doesn't have a track. They haven't even.
They're
installed
well
the light
aware
up
of
center
the
up.
issue. So
Ours-
I'm sure when they have the extra PD, they are, but I mean, this is not a not known issue.
It's underage drinking in the parking lot.
So they're aware,
Just go in and arrest them.
they're aware.
Yeah, they were called a couple weeks ago. There was 40 kids in the parking lot.
Oh.
20 from Berlin, 20 from Newington, shooting paintballs and stuff at each other.
Oh, crap.
Ally gets most of the complaints and what
And
we
they
do. is
spit
we're
out
gonna
when
start-
Doug Randy,
We're gonna start keeping a log.
Yeah.
And report back to the police department of, hey, this is how many complaints we got, this is what we're coming across, how can we increase it and try to work together.
We did,
Aren't they there on Brandy Lane? The police or something like that.
They put speed bumps in, but they haven't put the light up there, because
Yeah.
one of the things that at this Brandiggy Lane group that. Police chief said, one of the biggest deterrents is lights, having lights there. So they were gonna talk about putting a light up at the circle there, right in the center, and keep that light shining. They haven't done it.
So who does that fall to?
The light, the light is being handled by DPW and they're looking into 2 solar powered lights and where to install them.
yeah, there is a plan in place. and we've been-
Everything is moving forward with that as well.
Just hasn't done.
What's the timeline?
It had to go to the 824 for review.
You're right, it's a-
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
I know they were, well, you were at the meeting, yeah, they were gonna try and do it as soon as possible. I know they're not.
But what are they doing with that street?
I'm sorry?
What are they doing?
He was
with the light?
Oh,
Of the issue? Why do they need the light?
There have been cars up at Brandy by Sunderella Field, concrete, doing all kinds of things and. And the neighbors really got together and went to the police and then went to the council, made a presentation about the whole problem, so,
Is it a cul-de-sac or?
It's called SEC.
yeah.
It's dark.
But he also said the same thing, he said, once we close this, then they're gonna go somewhere else. We just have to be aware of that, but I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do, like you said. I think the general consensus that we would support that.
That's it. That's all you had.
That's all I got.
Yeah, sort of on the,
Portal.
so sort of not really vandalism, but field users using the field when they're not supposed to. Donna's aware of this. I wanted to include her in my email response back to the person just because I wanted her to be aware of it, so that way if she got a call or whatever, but so. Before the school year ended, right at the very end of the school year, I got an email from a woman from the high school boosters soccer group. Looking to book Scalise for 1 day a week over the summer. Said it would just be a bunch of kids practicing. So because she affiliated herself with the high school boosters, I then sent it to Dave, the AD, and said, Dave, can you give me a little information about this? She's representing the girls soccer booster, so I'm assuming it's high school. Can you just fill out a form? Because I only deal with the AD. All the coaches don't fill out forms, the AD does. He got back to me and said, that's not CIA sanctioned. That's something they're doing on their own. It's similar to what the boys do with Berlin Youth Soccer. I said, okay, great. So then I reached back out to her and I said, I need some more information. If you're going to book this as just you and some kids, these are the fees, you need the insurance. But if you're gonna book it through BYSA, you need to go through John Riley. Can you just give me some more information? So then I got an email from Alex Jocelyn, basically explaining that it was kids that are on the high school team and kids that are going to try out for the high school girls team. And they're just getting together over the summer to do some conditioning and some practices. He wasn't a part of it because he's a coach, he can't be, but he was just giving me the information. And he said he had reached out to John Riley and didn't get a response. So my next email was to John Riley. And John Riley is president of the Berlin Youth Soccer Association. John said that she did reach out to me. I got some information from her, but then I followed up with more information because different from the boys, the people that run the boys high school under BYSA, A, they're members of BYSA, so they're covered under BYSA insurance. B, they're run by someone who is on the board of BYSA. Whereas the girls were just, what John was told was just a bunch of girls with a parent overseeing it. So he reached out for further information, never heard back from Alex, never heard back from the woman from the boosters. So then, I reached out back to Alex and said, you know, I still haven't received anything. Are you guys using it? Never heard back. Then come to find out the first Thursday that they had requested, they ended up on the field. So I emailed Alex that day as well. I mean, I always put Alex and the woman who originally reached out to me from the boosters on each email. I said, guys, this is what happened. I understand you were on the field. I never got a request. This is a liability to town because now you're on the field without a reservation. You haven't paid for anything. You haven't booked anything. You're not insured. What's going on? So then that's when I first started to include Donna in the whole conversation. I'm trying to remember all of this in order. Alex got back to me, oh, my biggest apologies. I thought John booked us, blah, blah, blah. I went to John. John said, Jen, they never got back to me with any information. They never got back to me with any follow-up information. I need to make sure that if I'm gonna book these kids under BYSA, they are actually part of BYSA for insurance reasons. I'm not putting my organization that I'm in charge of out there on a limb for just some random people. So he's like, but Alex and can't think of her name, never even got back to me. So that's.
You don't need to.
I
we don't have to
can't
talk
remember.
about
Begins with
names.
C. So then Alex was like, okay, so if we want to rent the field ourselves, what do we do? So at this point, Donna had chimed in asking Alex a couple questions. Well, how did they get on the field? How did they get a key? Who's running it? In the meantime, even though this was not CIAC, this wasn't booked by the high school, I wanted to keep Dave the AD in the loop because I was dealing with his coach. His coach is not representing himself as the high school right now, but he's still the one trying to make this reservation. So I wanted to keep Dave in the loop. Then Dave and Donna talk. I'm gonna let you kind of take over for now and.
Oh, so I did chime in. I was getting a little frustrated with the responses from Alex. So I asked him, how did they get access? And in a couple of emails going back and forth, he never answered it. So I actually said, Alex, can you call me? Or I call you, whatever. So we talked. And he was pretty vague. And you know, I asked him, I'm really concerned about the access. I don't care about anything else. I want to know how the girls got on there. Who has the key? Where are the keys? We've had issues with keys before, and you know, I think probably that athletes have keys. Everybody, you know, all the athletes have keys. Boys probably have keys. I said, well, that's a problem. And I said, if you as coach, I asked you to go to your athletes, girls, and ask them for the keys back. And he said, well, I'm not gonna do that. I said, well, then my next call will be to Dave, the AD. And I think we need to do that. I want the keys back. And, you know, we'll go.
Yeah, so years ago, everyone made copies of keys. And they all
Not right,
just
but that's
gave them
what
out to everyone. Now, more recently, we have changed those laws. So we don't actually believe that the girls have keys that work, right, Steve? Because
Correct.
it's been changed recently, yeah.
So one thing led to the other, and it was determined, and I'm gonna forget how, but it was determined that there was also another individual from Newington involved in Newington High School that had key to Sage and the access code to the building.
You have the key to the gate, key to get into the home side locker room, and the code to shut the alarm off to access what he wanted to get.
So he had the master key.
So
From Newington.
Yeah, but no,
he's from Newington.
But
and
he's
he
been
somehow
associated,
was involved in with these girls or whatever, and that's how access was given. They saw it on the camera. Cameras help.
I think it's relevant.
That's how it went.
that the state for the first test.
Adam Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Well, it does- Yeah, that's a school thing, but yeah. But
Girls. high
this-
school.
this person was also involved in CFC, which is a private organization. Alex says, well, that's how he got the key. Because that's how I got I got my key from Berlin Youth Soccer. I never got one from the high school. So this thing evolved. There was just another story, I come to find out. Okay, so now we know a lot of people have keys, or you know, these people anyway. And then I had a discussion with Dave on the keys. I also gave him an update, just like Jen had updated him. He was following it. And you know, there's some rules about how involved a coach can be, but that's really up to the AD in the school. The next thing we know, the person that originally requested the field
emailed me and
Emailed
said,
and
we're not
said
gonna,
they-
we're not
they
gonna
won't
use
be
the field this
used the
summer.
field anyway.
Next summer, now I know what I need to do and I'll take care of it.
so we're gonna get those keys back.
So
the key
from
back?
that, so has Alex, so Alex was supposed to return the key the following Monday. And that has not happened.
Correct.
Still hasn't happened. And so I know that Steve has been working on looking at different options for keys, access. We really do need to limit. And I'll just throw this out. So my thing is, especially for the more expensive, we need unique keys if we can do it financially. Every person that has a key has to sign a document. And they'll be held responsible for that key. Obviously, the code was another thing to shut off the alarm. But which is unique by team,
Yeah,
By
and we can-
organization. Yep.
yeah,
by
and we can
organization.
change those if
So
we need to.
that's,
So he was given that particular code specific.
He was given the high school.
That's a code to shut off the alarm in the little building that.
Yeah.
Right.
Changes on.
Yeah, that's.
We asked our AD to reach out to the high school AD. See what
That's
That's,
really-
that's their
that's-
business.
that's between the school, as far as the athletics go, that's up to Dave to him.
So the,
We do need to protect our fields,
yeah,
and that's really under our purview. That's what we need to
Yeah.
discuss.
so the other thing is, once you get CFC involved, how do you know they're all from high school kids?
We don't, I mean, we don't. I mean, the discussions were they were, paying, in the end, they were gonna pay for the field. But again, then they decided not to. They were more or less shut down, so. Not by anyone here, but
The Berlin girls didn't have they don't have teams entered in, at the say, in some of them.
Right. And that was another problem that,
So this is
John Riley
probably
had.
a replacement. You know what I mean? That's what they were trying to set up, because the parents were paying.
that's,
and that was why. When Alex told John, we're in a league, so we will be covered under BYSA, that is when John decided to go back out to the original person who requested the fields from him. Because he wanted clarification.
and as Jen says, John Riley does a great job in going through the details to make sure BYSA is protected and all that, and person didn't respond for whatever reason. But we did believe that, some of us believed that there was probably some payments involved, it was a for-profit, probably, or
There's practically.
Maybe.
Get paid, right?
Probably.
Doesn't seem as egregious as drinking in the parking lot, smashing bottles, this gets us someplace play soccer.
And Lucas, just to give you background, we have had issues with the gentleman before on being on fields without being upfront with us or without going through the proper procedure, which is another reason I wanted to bring it out, because Alex does rent fields from us. Aside from the high school, he rents them through his business. So I wanted you guys to be aware that there was another.
They can't play outside of there's a tennis field right behind it, so soccer field.
All they gotta do is keep their mouth shut, keep the parents out of it, just go on the field and do what they're gonna do. That's a captain's practice.
the girls on their
The
own.
girls on their own without telling anybody. That's a captain's practice. It's been a long-standing thing. Everybody does.
However, through the Parks and Rec Commission and the
Yes,
Parks and
right.
Recreation Department, there is a process you have to follow.
They-
If
you
you
are
are in a group of 10 or more, you are supposed to go through the process to reserve a field.
It's inside the gate, you're outside. the gate.
Any
Any
field,
field, so
Any
if
ball
you're
field.
talking outside the field, the other soccer fields,
Yeah.
there's a reservation process.
Oh, okay.
All fields is a reservation.
So you can't just change the lock.
So, yeah, I can talk on the lot.
It's a
So
$10 padlock.
it's not.
do like a 1 second.
So we first looked into access technology to secure the building. We're being told from Toll Brothers and facilities that the chain for each door to have a keyless entry is somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000, plus a wiring, plus a monitoring system and everything like that. So that is completely off the table because we're not gonna put a CIP in for $60,000 for keyless entry. The next idea is to try to get unique keys. Master lock is not a unique key. That S1 key is sold in every single hardware store in the whole entire world. So that is worldwide, doesn't matter. So what we're doing is we're trying to find individual padlocks from Toll Brothers that have their own removable insert inside of them. So each key has to be specially made. They can be duplicated. They're not duplicatable, but they're not duplicable at Home Depot, Lowe's, in your general hardware. So that is our game plan there. And what kind of, we've done the same thing with Sage One, but the problem is once you buy a unique lock with a unique key, you can't change the core or the cylinder, somebody can take that lock and throw it. When they throw it, now you've got to change all the locks. So we're trying to find a padlock with a removable core that we can change throughout seasons or throughout the years. And kind of that speaks to the locks.
How about the access codes inside the building?
The access codes are specific for each organization. So whatever group it is, like the grounds worker, each grounds worker has their own cord account, facilities has their own account, each group has their own account. So you know who comes and who goes. But at the same time, as the cameras are there, so there's nothing we don't see in. We see anything that goes on. And when it comes to people or kids having keys, we've never seen a kid walk up to that gate yet and unlock it. They took a garbage can, they put it here, they took a garbage can, and put it here, they jump from this garbage can, they go from the guardrail to the garbage can, into the field, and that's how they get out. So there's no keys, there's no groups of kids playing out there, and if there's a group, there's 2 or 3 maybe throwing a baseball, maybe something like that, that's all I've seen through the cameras, I don't know if you've seen anything
Yeah.
different. So there's not a mass amount of keys out there.
But within the groups, there are keys, like the
Every-
CFC, right?
Well, how would we don't know how
Well,
CFC would
probably
get
they
keys.
copied them years ago.
Yeah, CFC shouldn't have a key, I mean, they have a camp this week and they can't get in unless Steve goes down there in the morning and unlocks the gate.
You know, the New England coach had a key,
Yes.
and supposedly.
I know
there's
Antonio
tourists
does not have a
with
key.
CFC.
Antonio doesn't have a key. He's the one that leads CFC and set up the reservation. He told me he needed them. to
And then,
unlock it.
Berlin Little League, we have all these groups, and so I think, my thought, should we do a letter to these groups and let them know, look at, we've had access to fields that inappropriate access. There are keys out there, and they have to be returned at the end of each season. And each person that gets a key has to sign. And saying that they will return the key, and they're responsible for that key, and
So typically the presidents of the organizations come in and sign out the keys and then they're responsible to give them to their coaches. Having every single coach from every organization coming in and signing a piece of paper is a lot. Same with the AD. Steve gives the AD the keys for the season. And he's responsible for his coaches doing the right
he
thing.
told me he would have no problem collecting the keys at the end of every season. That's what he said.
Yeah, that's
And I-
fine. And that would
he
be,
just
that would
wants
be on him. They don't get our key, they don't get the keys from our department.
It's not really a widespread problem, it's just isolated.
Right.
It's isolated.
We've had no
One-
problems with Little League at all. So
But
we've had no problems with Berlin Youth Lacrosse.
we've had no.
Right.
We have
It's a
one
select-
problem with this one
It's
individual.
a select in the,
And the new one coach, right? So, all right, so for that one individual, do you want to follow up with Dave to have him?
I think we have to figure out what we're asking Dave to do in in the fall season. Is he going to collect all the keys from his coach? Do we wanna do something with locks and get new keys by the fall season? I think it's.
So I think we just need to follow up with Dave and say, can you find out, was that key collected from?
Oh, just from the Newington
Yeah.
coach? Yeah, I can do that.
So,
I mean,
Worst
in a
comes to
month when
worst.
It
Dave's
was
back at
supposed to
work.
be dropped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So,
And it was Alex's key and the high school. Because Alex did not get his key from the AD. He even told me.
We've never had this kind of an issue in the past with other leagues, other sports associations. So this is the only time it's ever happened.
Steve,
There's been access, but
is the Scalise lock only a Scalise?
Squeeze lock is only a squeeze.
Yeah, so that limits it, so I mean, baseball's not gonna happen. Soccer has it.
Like I said, it's not a widespread problem.
yeah. Just this one thing.
so when they come in the fall, or when we have that, group meeting or whatever, then we bring this up to them. And we talk about access as a reminder. And then the president is signing and we've probably looked at that form, maybe, at that point, we look at the form, make sure it says what we want it to say.
Steve, is there?
In the
camera at
meantime-
Party park,
How about
And
the,
where?
that parking lot you mentioned.
No, because that's run through the school. School is the only one that has access to the security cameras inside.
But there is a camera there?
Yep.
I should turn it someone.
They don't care anymore.
They don't care.
the access code to the alarm
Yep.
that didn't show up? Right?
Yep.
Has that been changed?
No.
Can you change that? You cannot. Is that too much of a deal?
Yes. But it's, that code is specific to the high school. So it's only a high school coach. Greg Starr wouldn't have a code, Debbie wouldn't have a code, I wouldn't have a code. We all have our own codes.
Yeah,
So
right.
when that code is entered, it comes as a report for all high school. For user 13.
So if we wake up in the morning and I get a call from the custodians that the building was left unalarmed and unlocked, I can then go on the security report to see who was the last one there that set the alarm and didn't reset it.
Right, you were waiting for that code to come back when we dropped off, right? So. And on the camera though, is Dave aware that it was the Newington coach that access, you've told him that?
Yeah, Alex, once I explained the individual in an email, Alex admitted that's who it was.
We're all in agreement, we're going to change the padlocks
Right,
to get into schools. And start moving that way with other things. We don't, like, you asked me, do we have this problem anywhere else? Berlin Little League has been phenomenal this year, same with Berlin Little League softball, soccer, and everything. Since one gate was left unlocked and a bunch of other things have kind of happened where people could have driven out on the fields, there has not been one gate left unlocked
good,
all year
that's
long,
good, that's,
which is unheard of.
that's great.
So. We're still waiting for the pricing. of the padlocks.
Okay, so for Dave, you're gonna contact Dave,
About the
From
Newington
Alex's
coach
and
turning
the
in his
coach.
key, yes.
going to collect that.
So we're gonna have the Newington coach return these.
Alex didn't get, Alex said he didn't get the key from his key from his.
I was thinking about just following up with Alex first and seeing if I get a response from him. Because he's the one that sent an email, he would return it. Give him a chance. Give him a chance to do the right
I
thing.
think it's a new key. Yeah. Somebody's gotta give you the key.
Yeah.
Make sure it's an old one.
And all the locks have been changed on the building. So if it's an old key from 3 years
It
ago,
ain't gonna work.
that key would not.
There you
Right.
go. Yeah, we got
Right.
this one, that's- yeah.
We went from a 3 key to a 5 key, all 3 keys no longer work, all 5 keys, and those keys are not better.
Any other questions? Okay, Fields Playground Tours, nothing on the agenda for right now. Nothing, you haven't heard any update, playgrounds, no money being spent. Okay. And grant update and the Skyway Fields doing all
Did
right.
I tell you? Did you see the comment about, oh, smart idea, that's so unsafe? Told you.
It went in two different.
Going in two different
routes.
directions, yeah,
And one was very positive.
Yeah.
And one,
yeah. So, Biscoglio has broken ground. It's going well. It's on schedule right now, so
Excellent.
I think you gotta keep doing it though, you know, as.
I want different pictures. Like
Yeah.
right now, the pictures, it would look very similar. And I want to wait until maybe they start putting the drainage pipes in, then you can actually see that it's progressing.
Yeah.
Tony asked that Jen post it on our website and Facebook to let people know we're doing something, positive.
Yeah. If you see, like, there's another local politician that does it for the park and rec projects. It's phenomenal. I mean, it's really nice what she puts out there. and-
Aaron Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, I really.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I think we could combat all the negativity, if we just ignore it and just keep pushing. You know what I mean? I mean, let's highlight, I mean, maybe we don't have tons of things, whatever, you know, going on, but we can still highlight our deals, stuff that we're doing. You know, get a little-
Successful camp
yeah,
season.
PR, you know?
Yeah, no, people are mad.
That's fine. Increase the rates and increase
We're
the.
getting
That's a positive though.
Well,
It's a positive, let you
You have
know.
more space Yeah, for that's that. good.
no, we would have done that, because we're at 100 people at one facility is.
That's, yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot between staff. That's all.
And thank you for sending out the weekly, the schedule of events going on in the fields.
Missed Denisha's party. I saw it the day after.
I went.
He rescheduled
I
it to the fourth.
Did he,
Oh,
he had it?
It was supposed to be Sunday and he emailed us on Friday and rescheduled it to the fourth, which was Tuesday. Because of the forecast on Sunday, but he came in the next day, said it was good.
he went.
I went. We had a division all-star game at Centerelli. So it started raining on the 4th of July. So right after it stopped, I went down to Centerelli to see what it was gonna look like, and I shut the irrigation off there, and then I went to Sage and shut it off there, kind of just to see what they were doing. No volleyball, they were playing soccer, having a good time. You know, the cars were parked normally where they would be parked,
Good,
so.
great.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really nice to get that on the user report to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Good for that.
Any other comments, questions?
Just throwing it out there, do you guys want to meet in August or do you want to take a month off? I know some commissions, council take August off. Just figured I'd throw it out there as an option. I didn't know if people were on vacation, if it was harder to get together.
Unless there's issues, I'm all for taking it off. Town council's off, so
Either way is fine.
Yeah, anything we do would go to the September commission meeting and the September council meeting anyway. I can always, if I get
You can always do it.
an emergency thing, I
Sure.
can always do it, but
Somebody needs to sell candy, something with your.
Yeah. we can pick it up.
I think that's great, okay. All right, so,
All agreed? We don't have to vote
Yes,
on it,
we-
just all agreed.
great,
All right, cool.
okay.
Bruce Trevetha reached out. I told him to contact you regarding possibly what we would do with East Berlin. And his suggestion is he would like to see East Berlin pool filled in and a splash pad. So I'll pass this. I told him about the meeting we're having in October. He said currently with his health conditions, he would be he was not able to make it.
Okay,
And he will try to maybe possibly.
Good.
next couple.
I did actually mention to the two women as well about the October meeting, so.
I told them we're starting a GoFundMe page, right? But they donate to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good, we could do that.
No, Don had made a comment about towns using, if I understood it right, using the pool area for skateboard without having to reconfigure. I don't know that, but and I think you said you mentioned this at the last meeting, and you said, oh, I didn't realize that they do that, but
I didn't know that was a
I
thing.
would think there has to be, I mean, I know there'd be changes to it, but is that something to check, like with the playground, the
If
Connecticut?
he said some
Parks and
towns
Rec?
do it, I'd love to know what town, so we could.
I'll be the negative Nancy. That pool is built in a swamp and there is so much groundwater that the pool fills halfway up. How would
Oh,
you
really?
block, how would you block the water from coming in?
Yeah, right, right.
How would you block the kids from not?
Yeah,
going in?
right.
Not
Skate park's gotta get most. I have. Park now,
What was that?
I like,
Liability.
those are skate parks.
Liability associated.
Yeah, a lot of the towns do have them, though, but I mean, we haven't
But not
had
that
people
steep.
come to us asking for it recently, and I remember when Lynn Zelensky was here, people were coming asking. Because they were using the gate, you know,
Moving to the-
but I haven't had any,
On the new park.
okay, all right, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Ally.
Bye, Ally.
See you in 5.